All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the December board meeting of the ErieNet Local Development Corporation meeting. The time now is exactly 2 o'clock. Very good, everyone. We'll take roll. Dan Castle. Here. Mark Brunel. Present. Ron Spears. Keating. Here. Reading. Here. So here. John Mills. Here. Let the record show that Legislator Myers is absent. Nonetheless, we do have a quorum. Those of you who have had the opportunity to read the minutes from November, if there are no corrections, changes, additions, may I have a motion to accept November. Second. Reading, all in favor? Aye. Part of the chair, very briefly, at the top of the year, we will begin to seek out additional board members for board. So some diligence to figure out who else from what industry to be appropriate for the area, in addition to some much needed diversity. So be on the lookout for more communications relative to that. And we'll move into our executive directions report.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. So I will have you, Matt, I'll have you go at the end. I wanted to get through this quickly, and then we'll do the ECC Technologies update. The financial report is attached for you. The biggest thing you'll notice is that we are starting to pay. So most of it's make ready, and that will continue. We just did a forecast, new cash flow. ACC, Andy from ACC did that for us, and you know, we're looking around $2 million a month that we'll start spending on construction and make ready. So the financials are different than what you're used to looking at. We did just have a reinvestment. We had an audit and finance committee meeting, and we did talk about reinvestment of the $10 million that is coming out December 26th. We had a recommendation from our investors to go ahead and reinvest the 10 million plus the realized gains. What we're doing is shorter increments, and that gives us some time to kind of reevaluate each month. And we'll have a realized gain of this next of 160,000, I believe, but we will probably continue to reinvest even as that comes out. We want to make sure that we have some funds coming out on a regular basis while we evaluate the construction costs. That's that update. We did start construction in November in the town of Boston. So that's mainly underground conduit. Maybe Matt can go into more detail on his report, but the make ready is, as if any of you have been watching our press, the make ready is construction, and we've been in that process for a little while now. But I think Judge Jason was very excited that it started in this town, and maybe I said this last meeting, but they just did not think that our construction would start in Southtown. So that was kind of cool. So we are still meeting, continuing to meet with towns. Those are going very well. I think the word is out there that this is a great project, and the municipalities seem eagerly to participate in some form. Since the Connect All, which is one of my updates, so let's go out of order a little bit. Since the Connect All announcement, the Connect All information that we're getting, of course, the application for the municipal infrastructure grant that we went into detail last meeting has not come out yet, but the affordable housing one has. We have a little bit more information, and as we get that information, we've been able to talk a little bit about that with the municipalities and let them know that it is our intention, if everything lines up in the requirements, that we would like to do a partnership application and go out that will help with the capital costs for them. I think that obviously piques their interest, that they could potentially have this, connect their buildings, increase their network in their towns, which would help their residents, which is the main goal of the municipality, and maybe not have to pay as much or at all, depending upon how much we go out for. So that those meetings are going well. And City of Buffalo is the same. I did have a phone conversation with Tom Terrapacki we did put together a really nice proposal package for the city of Buffalo, and that was given to them with a lot more explanation of the community benefits. It shows them the financial breakdown in a much better and concise way. And we did a new red line version of their license agreement, which of course is our big holdup for permitting and this fee, this large fee that they have for a larger, I think it's developed obviously for Verizon and Spectrum. So those conversations are continuing, they're slow, but you know, they're, I guess where they're at right now is they're looking at the red line version with their legal team, and then we will schedule a meeting. The meeting dates were out there for this week, and they want to push that back. So at the beginning of the year, we're hopeful that we'll be sitting down again with City of Buffalo, and that what's been presented is making more sense to them and their understanding, especially their decision makers. And I've reached out to some of the common council recently, and they're eager to help in any way that they can. So I think we'll be starting.
I was gonna ask if there's a champion on the council, because without someone willing to stand up and encourage everyone else, it's gonna be a slog.
There are that are very into understanding a little bit more of that. So we'll be meeting to make that happen. Yeah.
So just to clarify, so we provided comments. They provided to us comments,
Sorry.
and then we provided, and that's where we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, so they gave us a red line. Well, first they just rejected ours.
Right.
And then we requested the red line, and then they did give us the red line. And we did, yes, our new red line is in their hands
And when did we get that?
Some time ago.
last week, beginning of last week, end of the week prior. They had, more than that, it was the end of, it was probably 2 weeks ago, yeah, just under 2 weeks.
But it took them how many months to get them?
3,
So we're talking in months, not weeks.
we are.
What were the major substantive issues that they, their alliance back?
The fee.
So, trust me. Okay.
And
we
then there
had
were
very-
some minor
We
things.
had very few edits to the actual terms and conditions. We were pretty good with that. I think Harris Beach had a couple of things that they wanted to clarify.
Okay.
But nothing that was a showstopper. It's mainly just getting their attention and getting some decisions made. And that was Tom's recommendation as we deal with their city, have Harris Beach deal with the city attorneys and go on that tact, while Missy and I work with Daryl Springer, the CIO, and make sure that he understands all the benefits and cost implications of joining up with us.
So I think what we've presented to them, with the proposal and the new red line, is a better understanding of the community aspect of the entire system.
Because Joe was gonna go out and get some quotes for what it would cost them.
Yeah,
To
which is
the
perfect.
private third-party installer, right, to do a build out.
I don't know if we ever did that. We were able to, in the proposal, to give him estimates of what we believe it would cost them, and or what they're paying now versus what they're going to need their upgraded system to be at. You know, we did a couple different levels. Matt put that together. It was good.
Because they indicated that more than themselves were selling copper, right?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of firehouses and police stations.
Yeah. In 5 years, their current system would be non-existent.
And if they were to truly go apples to apples with a different provider, they would be looking at hefty installation charges as well.
Right.
So
Which we've offered to cover.
Right. But as far as we don't know if they actually got quotes from fiber tech or
We
something.
don't know.
Okay.
we don't know if Daryl ever got. He had some preliminary numbers, and he had mentioned to ErieNet to us that they were very favorable. And he was pleased to see that, so.
I mean, it's just the savings alone to Buffalo. It's worth it there. If you add that plus, you know, what we're gonna put towards the installation, we're more than covering, in my opinion, the fee. It's a pretty good swap.
Yep.
And Tom Terapecki did say to me, it's his understanding from whoever he's speaking to, that if it's an equal or close to swap, that they would be interested in pursuing that. So to me, it's a matter of everyone on their side coming together and being on the same page versus, and maybe this new proposal that we put out sparked that to happen. So that's a
Sooner
city.
or later, we're gonna have to get buy-in from the mayor's office.
Correct. And we've been in contact with the mayor, yeah.
Dance around for a long time until we get that. They go much quicker once we have that.
Yeah.
And they realize that if we roll out in the rest of the county and they're left behind, it's gonna.
We have
Nothing but
alternative
favorable.
plans too, so even if we're not presenting them to the group yet because we're hoping that we don't have to go through that route, but there are alternative plans that are fine. You know, this is just what's best governmentally for everybody, ourselves and them. So we're hoping that we can just move forward like that.
Maybe something timely.
Yeah, we have a very much B plan that would be a time, take care of the time. So like I said, the affordable housing grant application is open. We are putting together an application, potentially with Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority, who we've been working with previously. They would partner with us, and we have an IS internet service provider who is anxious and excited to be a part of that application. Hopefully that would be maybe the case for the municipal infrastructure grant piece as well. So that's good. ECC's been doing good work trying to get them. And I guess the biggest news too that I didn't include in here because it was done after this is we've had some media outreach. County executive did a press conference today on ErieNet down at the Aurora Highway for Erie County. And yesterday I did an interview with Nate Benson from Channel 2, which I thought went very well. I stood out in the cold. Today's was inside, and Courtney did it as well. But yeah, I think the coverage is good. I think we should probably look to seek some sort of media coverage every few months. I think our next good opportunity is going to be this Connect All funding, and when that's awarded, just to see everything you've done this year. Little sheet, it's in their packet. You don't have to look at it now, but it's significant. Your board has done a lot of work in a year, and that's something that should be celebrated. And it's not easy, obviously, to basically start an entire corporation from the start. And you did, and everything is going very well. So I just wanted you to be able to see that year in review. So that's in there for your reading pleasures. And Matt, why don't you give your update?
All right, well, I'll start with design and construction. Design was pretty much finished, except it always changes. When we learn of new subscriber interests and new opportunities, and we go back and look at the routes and see how we can gerrymander things and be more inclusive to whatever the new opportunity presents itself. But again, part of construction is to verify the duct going across Grand Island. Thruway Authority has given us a duct to get across the 190 bridge. I think it's the northbound one. So Max Zukoff, our construction manager, is verifying that with an actual, basically pull string through the duct, and then that gets through, then we know we can pull our fiber in. So that's exciting to get on the island. We talked about the City of Buffalo telecom license from a construction schedule. Again, talking to Mac, our construction manager. If we can get this settled with the city in January, we don't think we're too adversely impacted. There's some permits that are stacking up that we press hard once an agreement's in place, but it hasn't really set us back yet. But if this drags on into February and March, then it could very well have some construction schedule impacts, but we're hopeful that that won't happen. We would have liked to have gotten a little more construction done in 2023. We never expected a lot, and we have, I'll talk about it in a minute, but the Make Ready is going the way we expected. But we'll probably be pulling actual fiber and attaching the poles in the spring. We have to still get through quite a bit of the make-ready construction utility work. But also where we can, we're doing underground work. But underground's only 10% of our total route, so that will get done quickly. Make ready, all of our poles will be submitted by the end of next week. So there's 12,000 poles, roughly 6,000 with NYSEG, 6,000 with grid, with Verizon sprinkled between the two joint-only poles. And all of those applications have been submitted, and we're getting the utilities to return their assessments. And then we turn those assessments over to our make-ready contractors, and the first few thousand poles are being turned over to the make-ready construction contractors to move cables up and down and make room for ErieNet's cable. So that's moving forward. We have all our make-ready construction contractors under contract now. Everyone's worked out their terms and conditions. Then we will be doing the same RFP that we did back, I think it was May or June, to get the NYSEG contractors on board. We'll be releasing that RFP in January. That got held up a little bit because we had to clear the Verizon bond issue. And that then allowed us to move forward with the grid pole applications. So now we're getting the first batches of their survey work back to us, and that gives us the scope of work to give to the make-ready contractor. That tells the make-ready contractor what has to happen on the poles. So we'll use that scope of work as the RFP, and we'll, again, it's shortlisted to pre-qualified grid contractors, some of which are also qualified NYSEG contractors. So some of the ones we have already under contract may be under both. But that process will happen in January. So probably a February board resolution will be coming with those contractors. And again, CLW is our fiber installation contractor. And we think they'll actually mobilize and engage. Probably mobilize in March. There'll be crews stringing fiber maybe in April. Again, it's a little weather dependent and utility dependent. Under the operations,
Real quick.
Yep.
Just let you know, the pot room has moved out of the basement, it's in construction. And we're
Did like the
excited.
jackhammer thing?
Yes, I've noticed.
We are excited downstairs that we're irritating the legal department. So,
Vinto rattling my walls.
Yes.
I told them to concentrate underneath Jeremy's office to get that everything.
PTSD.
So, but if anybody wants to stop down, it's pretty neat. The walls are going up, it's framed, and do a concert.
Yeah.
Instructions with hard hats and walk around the area. So they should be having, put sheetrock up later this week, and so that's good news. The May completion time is what it's scheduled for.
Excellent. Because I skipped over. So Mike's got the larger data center renovation project. And then ErieNet has a room partitioned off of that larger space. And we'll be issuing an RFP for the ErieNet contractor to come in and put in the cabinetry and all the wires and terminations that we need. Again, Mike's building the room, and then ErieNet will then populate it with our equipment. Cabinetry.
You guys get these jackhammers too?
No,
I- If not, we'll run them just because.
Oh, man.
Now we had it's been a while, our UP meeting, Bryce Fly, one of those guys that highlighted the fact that the Erie County's POP would be a great colo for even folks that don't want to contract with us for fiber, just to put in some space for, I guess, redundancy, speed, backup. Those conversations have been ongoing as well as a That's
Just, we just talked with them last week. It was, that topic came up again. They would like us to co-locate at their facilities,
okay.
which we may need to because we need a presence in the northeast and the west
Yeah.
side of the county. So they were talking about a facility they had in Sweet Home. That might be beneficial for both.
Very interested in partnering, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
They've got a lot of updates and upgrades coming too. So they like the idea. They have a new network guy too.
And so again, we updated the cash flow in the budget. You saw that at 1:30 today for the finance committee. Another RFP that's forthcoming is the lit services. Be able to light public safety fiber as well as basically any customer that requires a lit service. Libraries, schools perhaps as well.
Would that be like sewer plants to wastewater treatment, water, wastewater infrastructure?
I believe that the sewer was going to take on the instrumentation network and Mike was going to take on county IT delivered to sewer. But public safety definitely wanted a managed service for their 911 VoIP communications and radio backhaul. So
Yeah, there'll be multiple networks within the network. So we want a working network, we want a security network, we want a SCADA network. And then of course we run the public safety.
another behind the scenes thing, but it's very important. Mark, Missy, and Courtney have been working towards getting us our E-rate service identification number so that we can reply to these school proposals that come out for network services and eventually libraries. One that's right on the horizon is we've been approached by Buffalo Public Schools to be aware that they'll be issuing a dark fiber to, I think it's something like 77 Buffalo Public School sites. So it's a big RFP. Crown is the incumbent. And so they're the folks we have to beat. And we're looking forward to beating them. And New York State Connect All is been prioritized because that's got a January window. January is going to be a very busy month. And so the grant applications are already being pulled together for what's the extra cost and work that has to happen to reach all these municipal addresses, as well as working on a program with Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority, affordable housing grant potential. So other sales, marketing, we talked about the city of Buffalo. Just met last week on the 13th with Bryce Bible, the CIO of the university, and Richard Letts, I believe this is his new VP of network services. Very interesting gentleman. A lot of experience in municipal networks, open access networks in Seattle, and also his time at Purdue. So it'll be interesting. If and when UB starts participating, great resource for us to see what worked in Seattle, what maybe didn't work, and how some things might be adopted for us. So looking forward to getting to know him better. We continue to meet with all the municipalities, and we're including all the municipalities in this new New York State Connect All grant. It's 2 grant opportunities. The one that's probably more beneficial to ErieNet is the municipal extending ErieNet out to the municipal addresses that weren't included in our initial bill. And then the second is the affordable housing grant, which also very good for our overall mission. And we're more than anything, we need to get the Buffalo Housing Authority on board with our internet partner that who's already introduced themselves to Buffalo Municipal. But I think till the holidays pass, we're not going to get on their radar until after January 1st. Talked about Buffalo City Schools, and I'll just wrap up with we'll be starting a new ErieNet sales exec in January. Got a verbal acceptance on our offer, and I think we'll be able to start first or second week of January. Not quite ready to tell you who it is because he hasn't notified his employer yet, but he's doing so today or tomorrow. So.
Myself and Thomas met with him as well. We're very pleased with their choice. I don't know if the board knows, but Ty Rizek, who was our original sales executive, is no longer with ECC. But the experience level that this candidate brings is impressive, and he's very familiar with open access network, sells it.
Work with other carriers.
It's
He's
school
worked with other
district,
dark
yeah.
Fiber provider, so he knows the drill. Looking forward to that. Any questions or?
Certain things and follow-ups on the Erie County elements. Want to make sure that we're connecting to the convention center as soon as we can and offering that.
Right. Yep.
I mean, it's close. It's just a couple blocks away. It should be an easy win once we get ability to construct.
Yeah,
in the
they're
city.
on, they're on,
Yeah.
it's a Buffalo piece that's.
It's a
Yeah, yeah,
we're there's a conduit search in play.
Yeah. Well, I understand. I just want to make sure that it doesn't drop.
And that'll be a lit service.
Yeah, yeah. And then also I want to make sure that Renaissance Commons Park and the Ag Park are high on the list to connect to early on in the process. I don't know what we need to do in order to secure that. Other than, you know, both of those sites are being developed by the ILDC, the Industrial Land Development Corp, subsidiary of IDA. But it'd be really important to have just the
Heavy lift. But we'll be in good shape here. Renaissance and Egg Park. Just
I mean, just in both cases, we're putting in road utility infrastructure now, and it should be as simple as designing in conduit for, you know, an extra conduit for fiber at the same time. Right?
and who would I reach out to? Who's the county construction manager for that project?
Well, at the county, it's Mark Browntree, but we'll have to talk to someone at the ILDC because different consultants.
Because, yeah, we'll want to
Be John
know
Capitan,
where we,
is the person to talk to for both.
Oh, okay,
They're his office kind of managing the day-to-day of both.
okay.
That's all I have. Thank you. Good.
He lives in Eden. That's why Dan's looking at me, I think.
Well, I think you know him. too.
And I do know him, yeah.
And the sewer, you know, division of sewers is obviously near and dear to my heart. Make sure
Oh,
they get.
of course, yeah.
All right, moving along to committee reports. As was mentioned, we had an audit and finance committee meeting this evening, this board meeting. So, Mark, is it fair you want to give a update on that?
Certainly. Missy gave most of the updates. So the two things we looked at were, one, we looked at an updated cash flow statement. And the only thing I'll really point out here, and it sort of, it allows you to see in numbers that this project is starting to pick up steam and move forward, where it took us a long time to kind of get the infrastructure, you know, the foundation set up and moving forward. I mean, looking just at the cash flow, we're projected to have spent about $3.8 million through the end of 2023. We're going to double that in the first quarter of 2024. We're going to expend about $7.5 million. So we're starting to, you know, move quickly, which is a really good thing, right? We have these several timelines, but I know at least as, you know, a board, there have been some times when, at least early on, it seemed like there was more things to do than there were things getting accomplished. And we're starting to shift that paradigm a little bit and picking up and, having actual staff as part of the organization was a huge boon to them. So I just want to, recognize like how much that you and Courtney really have been able to, get moving on in such a short truncated period of time, because, we knew going into a lot of this that there were going to be certain things here where we were going to say, oh, we need to do this thing. Okay, well, first we need to create the form and the policy to do this thing. And it was going to be real slow going in the beginning. So I just want to share my appreciation for how much that both of you have gotten accomplished. And now we're starting to see, real, tangible, meaningful benefits. The only other thing I will make any mention of is, you had noted the investment strategy for this maturity that's coming up, which is about $10.2 million. And the amount of interest we expect to gain or realize out of that, at least on its face initially, seems pretty unimpressive, right? It's about $160,000. But the thing I'll point out is that is interest on several reinvestments that are only going to be a 1 month, 2 month, a 4 month, a 5 month, and a 9 month reinvestment. So if we were to extrapolate all of these shorter periods and just went for the exact same amount of time through that 9 month period. So for instance, our first maturity on January 16th. Well, between that and our last maturity, we could reinvest that 9 more times. So yeah, we're only making $7,000, but really we're gonna probably do that, some variation of 7 more times, and that's gonna be another 60 to 70,000. If we laddered every one of these through just the maturity of the final one in 9 months, we're really looking at about $350,000 to $400,000 in revenue through that period. So really what we're doing is acknowledging that we're starting to ramp up our utilization of cash for this project. So we want to remain liquid enough to have those, funds available, but we're still trying to take an aggressive approach where we're going to keep reinvesting every single time the cash flow says, yes, we can still reinvest. So this first maturity, it isn't only going to be for, 1 month. We're then going to make a choice, and maybe it's going to be 1 month, maybe it's going to be 3 months, maybe it's going to be 6 months.
Or a partial piece of that.
Exactly, because right now we are just in a very enviable position where we have a lot of cash that we have available to us. We also have historic interest rates, and we have to maximize that value without unduly hindering, our ability to get this project moving. The last thing I'll point out with that is that even within these laddered approaches, we can still withdraw cash if we need to. We can cancel some of these investments if necessary with no penalty. The only thing we have is we need to give at least 48 hours, 24 hours notice. So even if we were to be a little over aggressive in our investments, we only need 1 day to be able to, turn that cash or back into a liquid form to be able to use it.
And we're well over $1 million in our total investment, realized gains. So we haven't collected any of that because we've just continued to reinvest. But first initial one was 950,000 just in the initial 28,000, and then we've reinvested twice since then now. But we will.
And we have several more ladders.
And we have
for
several
maturities.
more. So we're doing good, and they understand our need for conservative but also aggressive, which is a hard thing to kind of manage, but we're doing it. Awesome, thanks, Lauren.
That's all I have.
All right, moving on. There's no unfinished business. December investment.
We covered.
Already done that. There are no resolutions for this month. If all hearts and minds are clear.
We have one thing to add.
Not clear.
So in the governance committee, you have an extra bit of, did you get that there? Yeah, so your packets is some homework. And if you look, you'll have your schedules on there, and you're kind of beginning of the year heavy. That's because our annual report will be due April 1st, and the governance committee has a big piece of that. And so we've given you all of the reviews for policies and procedures that you'll be discussing in your first couple initial meetings. And so please make sure that on Christmas Day that you are reading that as a that before your first meeting, you have those policies done, and then there's additional ones on your second meeting that you'll be able to have a conversation and review that. More to come to the governance committee as far as the annual report goes. But
Thank you for this organization.
yeah, thanks. And we met with a lady from Harris Beach. She's not an attorney, but she does the annual reporting for EBO. And I think we are going to utilize her, especially for the first year, just to make sure that what we're turning in is correct and if there's any changes we should know about. And she's just going to kind of guide us through it. But we have a lot of work done on it already, which thanks to Courtney, we have been very organized and trying to get ahead of it. But the real work lies on the governance committee.
Well, then
Hey, kids.
we'll probably have a contract with our outside auditors signed probably pretty soon, right?
Yeah, so, I think we did. You approved that. last
Well,
time.
I know we.
We did
the
the
last meeting
engagement
we
letter, yeah.
Authorized. I
I'm
didn't
pretty
know
sure I
if-
signed the
Okay.
engagement letter. Yeah, you authorized the engagement letter that's been signed. And that's Drescher one.
Yeah, because they'll have a big, piece of this as well.
Yeah.
Given them on.
They are working with Lumpson already to coordinate dates. Because the Lumpson will be providing the financials. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
There's no.
All right,
update.
what do you think? All right.
so
Paper, scissors.
the holiday gathering is going to be upstairs on the 29th floor.